welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Faith, and today we are checking out history one more time, and this is the reason why Indian Americans are richer than white Americans. And I'm super excited to check this one out. If you're here to subscribe to this channel, please consider subscribing, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And without much ado, let's dive right into this video. Conquest and cultures.
Substantial migration from the Indian subcontinent to the United States is a relatively recent phenomenon. For the entire period from 1946 to 1964, fewer than 7,000 people migrated from India to the United States, and as late as 1970 to 71, there were only an estimated 32,000 Indians, Pakistanis, and Bangladeshis living in the country. Later, nearly 32,000 would arrive in just 1 year, 1977.
In 1 year?
Although very small numbers of immigrants from India to the United States can be traced back into the 19th century, and nearly 5,000 arrived during the first decade of the 20th century, the highly restrictive American immigration laws and policies that began in the 1920s reduced the numbers below 500 for the entire decade of the 1930s. Significant increases in immigration from India began after new American immigration laws and policies went into effect in the late 1960s, and the numbers grew progressively in the decades that followed. The first of this new wave of people from India were Sikhs and Punjabis, many of whom went into farming. As the population of South Asians in the United States grew, however, both their geographical and social origins changed as well. The 1980 American census showed more than 387,000 people born in India or of Indian ancestry. The sexes were balanced, suggesting a permanent settlement, and nearly half of their occupations were professional, technical, and the like. As a whole, Indian males living in the United States averaged 10% higher incomes than white American males.
Wow.
This was all the more remarkable because 3/4 of the Indian immigrants had arrived in the United States only within the previous decade. A decade later, the 1990 census showed that the Asian Indian population of the United States had grown to more than 786,000 people.
That's a whole lot.
The great majority had been born outside the United States, and most of these had entered the country only during the past decade. Only a little more than 1/4 of all Asian Indians in the United States were naturalized American citizens.
Wow.
Despite their relatively recent arrival in the United States, Indians still had higher family incomes than native-born Americans. Whereas the median family income for native-born Americans was about $35,000 in 1990, the median family income of Indians who arrived between 1980 and 1990 was more than $40,000,
Wow,
and
what a
of those who
difference.
arrived before 1980 was more than $60,000. The prosperity of Indians in the United States was clearly related to their high levels of education and occupations. As of 1980, nearly 2/3 of all employed Indians were college graduates. Employed Indians as a group averaged 4 years more education than employed white Americans as a group.
Are you for real?
But for any given level of education and for most occupations, whites received higher incomes than Indians. It was just that Indians' educational qualifications were so much better that they received higher incomes overall. They have made very little mark in politics, though the first Indian was elected to the Congress of the United States in 1956, nor have they been particularly vocal or even noticeable as a social group, despite being a larger group than either Koreans or Vietnamese.
Wow. They are very
Among the
quiet.
occupations in which Indians have been concentrated have been engineering and medicine. Between the early 1970s and the mid-1980s, more than 15,000 engineers and more than 15,000 physicians migrated from India to the United States.
Wow.
This is in addition to the students from India who were trained in these professions in the United States. They tended to specialize in electronic engineering. By the late 1980s, California's Silicon Valley alone had 5,000 Indian engineers,
Wow.
and nationally there were more than 20,000. Indian engineers played prominent roles in founding computer companies such as Sun Microsystems, some becoming millionaires in the process. There were also 28,000 physicians from India working in the United States, including 10% of all anesthesiologists in the country. People from India were well represented in business as well, owning nearly 40% of all small motels in the United States, including about one-fourth of the franchises in the Days Inn chain. Most of these Indian motel owners have been Gujaratis.
Wow, you guys, that was such an eye-opener. Like, I never knew that Indian educational system is that valued and that high compared to that in America. Who would have known? Oh my God. No wonder when people are sick over here in my home country, Nigeria, in Africa, they just fly them to India for treatment. I see why they are being paid well in America, because I didn't know that their educational system was this high and well valued. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is such an eye-opener. It was such an insightful historical narration and I enjoyed every bit of it. I am beginning to enjoy this kind of video because it just teaches me a lot that I didn't even know about, and I'm going to continue to do them. And if you guys totally enjoyed watching, give this video a massive thumbs up, comment, share, and all that good stuff. And this is me officially signing out. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.